Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. John Curtis, Professor John Curtis, being polite, has looked at the results of the Hamilton election. And he says, despite winning, Labour are still seriously in trouble. He says the SNP, of course, have the most to lose. And the big winners, even though they didn't get the seat, were Reform. Because the amount they got from a zero start is frankly astonishing. He says, and if this was repeated across the country, he said Reform would have an awful lot of seats, possibly 20 or 30 seats, just on the results of this. He's saying it's going to shake up the entire Holyrood voting system. He said there is so few glimmers of hope for Labour and the SNP over this that they need to grasp them where they get them. He says some places will, of course, return SNP. That's understood. He says, and some will return Labour. That's understood. He said, but there's going to be a lot of places where it's going to be SNP. He said, really, the only people stopping the SNP are Conservatives, oddly enough. But that, he says, is as it stands now. He says, going into next year's election, he says that is going to change because Reform will be really pushing. He says, and at the moment, he says the reduction of the vote share for the SNP needs to be a big worry for them, because if that continues, they're going to be in deep trouble. He says, and Labour themselves, although winning the seat, had a smaller share of the vote. And again, that is a problem. He says that, it's there. He says the smaller parties really don't have much of a hope. They'll win a few seats, perhaps on the regional lists, but only by dint of actually being on the list, not outright through, any form of hope. He says, but the big losers, in terms of Scotland, are the Tories. He says, at this result, it could be the Tories would only have regional seats. They would not win a single constituency. Wow. Mind blown. Not a single constituency victory for the Tory party. Bad news. Thanks very much. Goodbye.